listen to the three-cylinder purr. And we reached the speed limit at the top of a slightly uphill, slightly short freeway on-ramp. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, my name is Dietrich, and today we are test driving a 2024 Buick Envista on the freeway. And the Envista is equipped with a 6-speed automatic transmission, a 1.2-liter three-cylinder ECOTEC engine. General Motors is kind of cagey about the fact that it is a three-cylinder. They just call it an ECOTEC. But in my experience, this engine does have enough pep to drive on the highway. It has 137 horsepower, but more importantly, 162 torques, and that's what gets you up to speed. It's no hot rod by any stretch of the imagination, but it does have sufficient power. And I've driven it previously in a Chevrolet Trax, which is the mechanical stablemate for this Buick, and it's good. If things look kind of dark on my camera today, it's because this particular example has tinted windows all around, including the windshield. I think it's probably about 35% on the side windows and maybe 45% on the windshield, but this thing is definitely tinted, so it may look a little bit darker on the camera. But with all that being said, this is a base model Buick Envista, what they call the preferred model, and even at its relatively low price point, it has some high dollar looks to it. We have the digital gauge cluster right here, which you can actually change quite a bit for such a low dollar car. We have a nice size touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So the feature content is pretty good. I think that the ride is relatively smooth, especially for such a small and inexpensive car. It actually drives quite well. This vehicle is made by, I believe, what's now known as General Motors Korea. This car's actually built in Korea, but previously known as Daewoo. People will disagree with me no matter how I pronounce it, so it's, I think, one of those two. Previously known as Daewoo or Daewoo, whatever you want to call it. And they actually make, for the money, some pretty nice cars. At one point in my life, for reasons that we don't need to get into right now, my name was actually on the title of a techno pink Chevrolet Spark, which is known as the Daewoo Matiz everywhere else in the world. And that car was cheap. I think brand new we paid like $13,700 plus tax and license for it in 2013. And it was a nice little car. It had some good features on it too for the time. It had a touchscreen radio and stuff, and it was, you know, they're well thought out and well made little cars for the money that you spend. And I think specifically in the Envista's case, this is just a great looking automobile from the outside. Very stylish and looks quite a bit more expensive than it actually is. So very good value, I think, when you add everything up. And plenty of power to drive on the freeway. It's definitely faster than a Honda HR-V. It does feel a little bit quicker than a Subaru Crosstrek with a 2-liter engine. 2.5-liter Crosstrek feels faster than this. Probably on par with a Toyota Corolla Cross. So yeah, it's very, very competitive for the class, and it's funny because I feel like cars in this class, obviously just based on their price point and their size, appeal to a younger demographic, and there's a lot of young people out there right now that may be considering a Buick. And I say good for you, because this is a nice car. It's a nice car to drive. It's a nice car to be in. It's a very nice car to look at. And I think it's pretty good value for the money. And like I said before, I think it's pretty well made. And it has plenty of power for the average driver on the highway. Watch this. I'm going to catch up to a shark blue Mark 6 Golf like there's nothing to it. And there you go. I'm currently doing 85 miles an hour on the freeway, keeping up with traffic. Gotta say, the wind noise there's a little bit of wind noise, not too much tire noise, but nothing like, for the class and for the price, totally acceptable, and I would say even above average. We can get it down to a more, here, there's 75. Yeah, it's a refined little car. The only thing there's a bunch of different screens that you can look at down here, right? So I can go to gauges, and I can just put battery voltage, show and cluster. And so you can look at like the battery voltage, the water coolant. It's funny, like the battery voltage is that important. That's very much a General Motors thing and not a Daewoo thing. Or the water temperature, or the average fuel economy, or you can just remove it from the cluster and it'll look like that, which is really pretty. But I can't find anywhere that shows me a tachometer, which is a little bit annoying to me. I would like to be able to access a tachometer in this vehicle, since you can pretty much access everything else. But that's one of the only minor little complaints that I have about it. It's a nice car. It drives good on the highway, drives good in town. It's got good turning radius, decent handling. A Buick, baby. They're back. All they had to do was start building them in Korea, and then they're legit. Oh, of course, the only reason why Buicks are still in production now is because, for whatever reason, around the turn of the century, the Chinese decided they really liked them. And Buick was one of the first, if not the first, it might have been them and Cadillac, automakers to partner with domestic Chinese car manufacturers so that they could build and sell cars in China at a reasonable price. So Buicks became very popular in China. So after the economic implosion of 2008, and General Motors had to declare bankruptcy and get bailed out by the US government, and they trimmed a bunch of brands, Pontiac actually used to sell more cars in the US than Buick, but worldwide Buick sold more cars than Pontiac because of the Chinese market. So that was why Pontiac got the axe and Buick kept going. So there you go. So maybe this car was built with the Chinese market in mind, or designed with the Chinese market in mind. But if so, hey, that's good, because it turned out good. I don't know. But to answer your question, if you're considering one of these cars and you look at the small engine and paltry horsepower and torque numbers, yes, the Buick Envista does have plenty of power to drive on the highway. No problem whatsoever. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I did do a full review on this car. I'll put a link to that in the description. So if you'd like to see more details on the vehicle itself, you can watch that video as well. And you can also click that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because hey, it's free. And that's about all I got. So I'm gonna keep on driving to work, and I'll see you soon. Have a nice day.